My name's Jennifer Donnellan. I'm the director of the Media Relations Division here at Prince George's County Police. And you are going to be hearing from Police Chief Hank Stawinski. And unless someone raises their hand, I assume you all have the spelling. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Jennifer, and good evening. I want to begin by making it clear that I was deeply concerned immediately about assertions that there was unfair treatment associated with the membership of the Prince George's County Police Department, an organization in total of 2,000 individuals. That's a big challenge, but I worry about every member of this institution, and I will not be a party to any structure, any policy, any practice that would do anything to undermine the individual dignity of any person in Prince George's County or within the institution which is responsible for the protection of the individuals in Prince George's County, period. Now, I wanted to come today and to offer the community some information. During my tenure as chief, a little over a year now, this community has seen me come forth and answer direct questions based on fact as soon as I had those facts. And that's what I'm going to do this evening in hopes of bringing peace of mind to our community, both in Prince George's County and within this institution. So I'll begin with some pictures that I'm going to point to, and I hope you can work with me. The first is a picture where you see what appears to be a human figure. Below that, a close-up, and then another photograph to the immediate right of that. On the top picture, which is the one that shows the overall, you'll note some writing. That writing was advanced to us as is. We did not add that. It's referred to as a training dummy. It is a defensive tactics mannequin. It is described as a black face. It is described as an afro wig. What is not noted here is that the mannequin itself is a training aid. So that's the third item within this photograph. The fourth item within this photograph is a white face that you see down there on the ground. The picture below that shows a close-up of this. What this is 4 training aids that the Prince George's County Police Department uses in a variety of scenarios to familiarize officers with scenarios where there may be people who are victims, where they are suspects, where they have to react and gather information quickly, a host of things. The one item described as an afro wig, which is a black curly-haired wig, was brought to training by an African-American member of our training staff because we needed that component to carry out training around de-escalation, some of that to do with domestic violence. There's a picture that you see here, which is a screenshot of that very wig on a mannequin, which by complexion appears to be white, and standing behind is an image of a white male holding a gun. It's important to note that this was featured in NBC4's coverage of the Prince George's County Police Department's training on de-escalation on November 25th of 2015. These particular items. And you can link to that on NBC4's website. The picture that you see between the two is a commercially produced training aid. Ms. Donald will provide you with the name of the website where you can go and look. And they have literally dozens of different pictures of individuals holding different kinds of weapons. They even have a mechanism by which you can cover a weapon up with a coffee cup so that, again, you can change scenarios and people don't become accustomed to the scenario and training can have its maximum impact. And beyond that, what you see, again, is that the lower portion of that commercially produced training aid has been removed, and that is affixed to one of the 4 items of training material depicted in this picture. All 4 of those items, the wig, which we've discussed, the commercially produced training aid, the white head, and the mannequin itself, are all part of our training, and again, that was detailed in a Channel 4 story on November 25th of 2015. This photograph was taken, as best we can tell, in late 2015. Late 2015. This photograph came to my personal attention on January 4th, 2017. And we immediately initiated an investigation which has yielded this results. This commercially produced training aid is not in our inventory. It is not at our training academy. It is not at our weapons range. So we think it predates 2015 by some time. The other training aid that you see depicted here, again with the wig and with the other mannequin that we use, again, predates this. There were rumors, vague assertions about training aids in the middle of 2016. The month that I have for the public is June. Unfortunately, those were not brought to official attention, and it was only on January 4th that this came to my attention and we initiated an investigation. We know that this dates back to at least 2015, but if that information had been brought to us more timely, we might have had an opportunity to learn more about it. That said, I want to assure the public that the investigation into this goes on, but all 4 of those items of training material have been discarded because we've upgraded and advanced to new training. And in that NBC4 story, you see depicted scenarios with our shoot, don't shoot system, which again depict a number of different people of male, female, black, white, Latino, weapons, no weapons, children, all of those things. And again, that is captured in the video in that story. You can link to the website. Going back to this license plate, that came to my attention as the chief of police in April of 2016. It was suggested to me that that meant good for you, Obama. And I rejected that. My opinion is that GFY means one thing and one thing only. I immediately consulted with my legal advisors, and I was informed that a Maryland license plate had been issued and that people do have a First Amendment right to express their opinions. I found that repulsive. Repulsive. And does not represent the ideals, the policies, or the practices of the Prince George's County Police Department. So I contacted the president of our FOP, and I said, I understand that people have a First Amendment right. I understand that this tag was issued to this individual, but make it clear, this tag, that vehicle, which is a personally owned vehicle, will not be parked on Prince George's County Police Department property, period. And I expect it to be removed because it does not signal to our community the values that we hold dear. Within 72 hours, that tag was removed in April of 2016. That is not on a vehicle today. It has not been on a vehicle for months, and it was replaced with a regular license plate. Within 72 hours in April of 2016, that was handled. And I want to thank the President of the Union who's standing with me for his help in addressing that legitimate concern that I had. The third photograph came to my attention 72 hours ago on Tuesday. This, and I'll describe it, says African American, and then color is struck out, guard. My understanding, this is a locker where our ceremonial squad keeps material, so that's the color guard. Now, this is actively under investigation, and I do not have a lot of information for our community with respect to this particular picture. But I will say this, Major Gordon is the commander of the Special Operations Division, and he is with me right here in the back of the room. Ray, if you come over here for a second. Major Gordon was conducting a walk-around of his facility. He's the one who discovered this, and once discovering it, immediately addressed it with his leadership, contacted our Major of Internal Affairs, and initiated an investigation into what this means and where it came from. And then a picture was forwarded to me at 2:27 on Tuesday afternoon after those steps have been taken by the Major and his staff. At this point, I would like to bring the President of the FOP up to make a few remarks regarding this, but again, I don't have a lot of facts. 72 hours later, it's under investigation, and when I have facts, I will bring them to this community to address what that was supposed to mean. With that, I'll introduce John Telechi, President of FOP 89.
Thank you, Chief. The Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 89, which represents the men and women of the Prince George's County Police Department, is standing here today with the Chief of Police and with the commanders of this agency to say we will not stand for any type of environment in the workplace where anybody feels discriminated against or where they feel that it's a hostile work environment. I applaud the Chief for immediately opening investigations, and we will stand by making sure that the investigations are fair, impartial, thorough, and complete. I understand that the Chief cannot speak on the ongoing investigation reference to the what was written on the locker. However, I would like to offer that prior to my knowledge of Major Gordon bringing it to the attention of the department, I received a picture of this via text message. My immediate question to the individual who sent it to me was, has the police department been made aware of it? And they said they didn't know. I said, thank you, I will take care of it. And my first telephone call was to the commander of the Internal Affairs Division. Our membership is of utmost importance to me. Without my membership having a strong, cohesive working relationship and an atmosphere free from anything that may detract from hard work and dedication to the men and women of this community is of utmost importance. And we will continue to monitor this investigation, to ensure that our members cooperate with this investigation, to ensure that things of this nature are not allowed in the workplace, and we move past this. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, President Zlecka. In conclusion, I will say this. Don't judge me by what I say, judge me by what I do. Throughout very difficult circumstances in the last year as the Chief of Police, I've been asked difficult questions. I've resisted answering those questions when I did not have facts. What this community and what this institution, the men and women of this police department must know is that when I have facts and I have the opportunity to investigate and draw conclusions, I will bring those facts to you. Understand that if we find wrongdoing, we will address it. But there's two pieces to this. There's individual actions and there's institutional policies and practices. And in my opinion, it's a two-pronged test. The individual may act, and that must be established to have been done for harmful reasons. And then we must ask ourselves, do our policies or our practices, do the expectations of this institution in any way support that action? Where they don't, that individual will be held accountable. Where they do, we will make change. That is why myself and the president of the FOP agreed in September of 2016 to begin publishing the fact pattern of discipline cases and the outcome to the membership. Individuals will not be named, but the fact pattern and the discipline will be released to the department quarterly so that people know when they raise a complaint, it doesn't just disappear. They know the fact pattern and they know discipline. That was a result of negotiations around these issues going on all of 2016 and again signed off on as part of the collective bargaining agreement process in September of 2016. That leads directly to our ongoing concern about general assertions with respect to practices, with respect to promotions, with respect to discipline. And that is why we have asked some tremendously strong partners of ours in the community and on the FOP board to be part of an independent panel. And so as I close, I will say that our first meeting of that panel was conducted today by our co-chairs, one being here today, Mr. Carlos Acosta, our Inspector General, and the other appointed a retired Prince George's County police officer, but the first representative of the Minority Affairs group for the FOP 89. And I encourage anyone in our community or in my institution to bring concerns to them. And again, know that when I have facts, I will investigate. When I investigate and I draw conclusions, I will do as I've done for the last year. I will bring facts to this community. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Chief, have you been contacted by the Department of Justice concerning this complaint that was filed?
Thank you for that question. I was first made aware on November 24th as a result of a telephone conversation between our Inspector General, Mr. Acosta, and another individual. And in that phone conversation, it was relayed to me that a Department of Justice complaint had been filed in March of 2016. I immediately informed Mr. Acosta that I wanted a letter written and hand-carried to the Department of Justice the next day. And I'll quote from that letter, and I have copies for all of you. This is November 25th of 2016. We have no further information regarding this inquiry and would appreciate some insight with respect to the nature of these allegations. This notwithstanding, please let me, Mr. Acosta, know how the Civil Rights Division would like us to support this inquiry. I am not hard to find. This department is an open book. What I believe I know is that the Department of Justice acknowledged receipt of a letter on February 2nd. My letter is dated and in the record for October 25th. And subsequent to this letter, the next thing I heard was through a media source that DOJ acknowledged receipt of a letter on February 2nd of 2017. We've been trying diligently to get information and address concerns and have been met with nothing. Thus the letter, and there's others.
Whether there is a formal investigation or not, is there concern that many officers would have concerns? Where do you stand?
I worry about the 2,000 members of this department. And I don't hold anyone in any different view because they express a concern. The reality is that we must work to improve this institution. We've evolved tremendously in 10 years, in 20 years. The only way that works is if we all reject the status quo. We restructure, we investigate, we bring impartial people in to look at issues and tell us where they believe we have problems, and then we act. So I'm concerned about all 2,000 members of this institution, which I love dearly.
How did the local NAACP said that there was a meeting yesterday between the concerned parties related to this case? Was the department a part of that meeting? Can you share what was?
We were not, and I know nothing further about it.
Talk a little bit about these photos more. How did, I know the second went in the locker room, you explained thoroughly, places that you explained. The training pictures, how did they come to your attention originally?
These pictures here? I received an email with these two pictures on January 5th of 2017. These pictures date back to at least 2015, is what we've learned in the investigation launched subsequent to that over the last couple of weeks. Because this is photographs of our old facility, not our current training facility. Again, that's where we suffer from a lack of timely information. People bringing forward a valid concern and saying, I think this means what I think it means. Okay, we'll investigate that. We take all of that very seriously. A citizen need do no more than pick up a phone and say, I'm concerned about something, and we begin an investigation. Same rules apply to the men and women of this department. I will not preside over an agency where anybody feels that they aren't valued, where anybody feels that our policies or practices would lead to a place where they're demeaned, where anybody feels that they're in an offensive environment. I've worked in that place. I won't tolerate it. Again, I can't answer. I received one email, but the origin of this obviously is still in question. And that's part of what still goes on with this investigation. But I felt it important the community know what I know about it, and particularly about the fact that some of this material, which is being proffered to you, is part of a training program that was featured as a best practice just November of 2015 by, again, NBC4.
The officer with the license plate, was that officer disciplined? I understand that he was in internal affairs when this license plate was there.
Okay, basically, let me say it this way. And you can look at other agencies right now across this country who are experiencing similar challenges. At the end of the day, that license plate was issued by the state of Maryland. It's on a person's personal vehicle. The only purchase I had was to say I will not have it parked on county property. But that notwithstanding, I made it clear that this won't be accepted because it does not represent the ideals of this institution. And within 72 hours of learning of this, that tag was removed. And again, I have the president of the Fraternal Order of Police to thank. And the question of discipline is a question of First Amendment rights. None of this, personal vehicle, license plate, none of that extends into the direct dealings of this institution. Nonetheless, it was removed within 72 hours.
Chief, aside from what may be in the letter to the DOJ that you haven't seen, aside from these issues here, have any officers come to you in this period of time, last year, 2 years, and last year, and said, hey, there are problems out here. There's insensitive license plates. There are comments being made. Have other issues come to you that would be, similar to what is believed to be in this report?
A multitude of issues are brought to me daily. Some perceive them to be one thing, some perceive them to be another thing. What I will say is that where we had specific information, just as I have detailed for you, or just as we are trying to determine with respect to this most recent case, again, that's 72 hours old, we've taken action. But I'm not satisfied that we wait for people to advance those concerns. That's why we took the proactive step in September of 2016 of signing an agreement between myself and the president of the FOP to show the members of this agency where complaints were lodged, what the circumstances were, and what the discipline was, so they understand that their concerns are taken seriously. And that led to the appointment of the panel that convened for the first time today, again, to proactively look for these issues, because I know what it is to work in a huge organization like the Prince George's County Police Department. I know people fear bringing these things forward because they think it will negatively impact their career. I can assure you all day long that that's not the case, but they still have fears. So that's why we are looking for ways to proactively gather that information, and then where we find bias individually, collectively, or as a result of policy or practice, we will address it.
Do you believe there's a pattern of widespread bias in the agency?
Again, that's where I have to apply this two-pronged test. That's why we've appointed this panel. That's why we're collaborating and working to answer these questions. But again, not to get into inside baseball, but individuals acting in an inappropriate manner, if it's not supported by the policies and practices of this department, are individuals making poor choices. And that's where our job is to be certain that the people who do the policy work for this department are thoughtful, insightful, dedicated to making sure that those policies make it clear what is and isn't acceptable, so that when people do operate in a way that is not reflecting well in this agency, we can hold them accountable. The policy system is the foundation for accountability. That's why that's such an important component in American policing today.
Very good. Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you very much.